Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into the real foundations of CIMA E1, managing finance in a digital world. And this isn't just about, ticking off syllabus points. This is about giving you the blueprint for a career that is changing, well, incredibly fast.
It really is.
So our mission today is to understand how digital technology is fundamentally shifting the role of finance, forcing us all to redefine what we even mean by value in an organization.
That's right. We've gone through the source material and we're focusing on three critical pillars.
Yeah.
You've got the tech tools themselves, the actual structural change of the finance function, and then the new ethical risks that come with all this automation.
And we're not just here to learn the vocabulary.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
We have to move past just, remembering and understanding the terms. The real goal is application and analysis because honestly, that's where human expertise is going to stay relevant.
Okay, so let's just jump right into the central question then. How does all this digital tech move the finance function from what it used to be? Simple stewardship.
The scorekeepers.
Exactly, the historians and scorekeepers, to a role of being a strategic partner, a true creator of value.
Well, it all starts with changing our definition of success. You ask anyone what technology is good for, and they'll say it cuts costs.
Sure.
And that's true. It boosts economy doing things cheaper and efficiency using fewer resources. That's value preservation.
And I think we can all agree saving money on routine processes is a huge win. But what do the sources say we're missing if we only focus on that?
We miss the entire point, which is effectiveness. Effectiveness is about achieving the maximum desired impact. Technology doesn't just make us faster at compiling old data, it completely reshapes how we understand the business. It lets us create value now, today.
This is where that CIMA framework, the finance function value matrix, really helps visualize this shift, doesn't it?
It's essential, yeah. So picture a matrix, two axes. On the horizontal, the x-axis, you've got sourcing and analysis of information.
Yeah.
And on the vertical, the y-axis, you have communication and use of that information.
And that left side is sort of the old world, the traditional function. It's all about preserving value.
Exactly.
So you have a data integrity in the bottom left.
Yeah.
It's just getting the numbers right,
Right.
the transactional stuff. And above that, you have stewardship, which is the reporting and control. Necessary, but it's all backward looking.
The digital frontier is all on the right side. You move to the bottom right, and you have value analysis. This is where finance starts using data analytics to find real insights into where the organization is making money, where it's losing it.
And the absolute pinnacle, the goal, is that top right quadrant, value enabling.
That's the destination. Precisely. Value enabling means the finance professional stops being the historian and starts being the architect.
I like that.
You're partnering with other parts of the business, using insights from the tech to actually fix performance issues, to influence the big decisions. You're helping the organization achieve its impact.
So the speed and accuracy from automation, it's not just for a faster month-end close. It's the engine that lets us live in that value-enabling space. And this must connect directly to enterprise-wide cost management, right? Because you can't enable value if you don't actually know where the money's going.
That's the link. Technology gives you this incredible data transparency across the whole business. And that transparency, it lets you spot opportunities to cut costs, not just in finance, but everywhere. R&D, operations, marketing.
Right.
That bridge from raw data to strategic value. That is the key.
Okay, that makes sense for the why. So once we get why the job has changed, we need to talk about the how, the tools themselves. We hear a lot of terms thrown around, cloud, big data, but let's really clarify the difference between process automation and AI, because that seems to dictate where the human is still needed.
The sources are very clear on this operational difference. A good way to think about it is using the 5 A's. Assemble, analyze, advise, apply, and acumen.
Okay, so where does process automation fit in?
Process automation, or RPA, is all about repetitive, rule-based tasks. It's the arms and legs. It automates the assemble part.
The grunt work.
All the grunt work, exactly. Collating data, cleaning it, connecting it, reconciling it. If you can write a clear rule for it, like mashing a PO to an invoice, RPA can do it flawlessly. 2547.
And AI, or machine learning, it's the brain, supported the analyze step. But wait a minute. If we just let the AI do the analysis, aren't we just handing over the whole job? How do we stay in control?
That is the critical question. AI doesn't do the analysis in a strategic sense. It provides prediction and pattern recognition that supports our analysis. It chews through massive amounts of big data and flags things for us anomalies or probable outcomes.
Can you walk us through a quick example, a month-end close?
Absolutely. So in a digital close, RPA is working away, automatically pulling bank statements, matching transactions, posting all the standard accruals. It's doing all that heavy assembly.
Right.
Then AI steps in. It might analyze 10 years of sales history, inventory data, even macroeconomic trends to predict the most defensible level for your inventory provision. Or it might flag an expense that looks like past fraudulent write-offs.
Ah, so it's an advisor.
It's an advisor. The finance professional then takes that insight and uses it to inform their own analyse and advise steps. We are supervising the analysis, not performing the assembly.
So what does this do to the structure of the finance team? Because if RPA is handling all the entry-level jobs, the old career ladder, it just vanishes.
The material describes a huge change in the shape of the finance function. Historically, it was a triangle.
Pyramid, yeah.
A huge base of junior staff doing high-volume, repetitive assembly work with just a few senior managers at the top.
I remember my first job just manually matching paperwork for hours. That whole job just, it doesn't exist in the same way anymore.
It's being replaced by the diamond shape. Sometimes it's called a pillar. Automation just wipes out many of those basic roles at the bottom.
So it gets narrower at the base.
Much narrower. And it expands significantly in the middle and upper tiers. Those roles are focused on analysis, planning, business partnering, and real strategic leadership.
Which means if you're entering the profession now, those traditional roles where you just had to, memorize procedures, they're gone. You have to immediately focus on developing those higher-level CIMA skills.
Analysis and evaluation.
And that overall acumen, the ability to look at what the machine spits out and advise the business on the next move.
You have to aim for that expanded middle tier from day one. That's where the value is now.
Okay, but with this speed and automation, we have to talk about the risks. Let's turn to the necessary caution here.
This is where we have to discuss data ethics. You could call it the dark side of this transformation. More digitalization means a massive increase in ethical risks around data protection, privacy, what the sources call corporate digital responsibility.
Which brings us right back to that black box problem. When an algorithm gives you an answer, a sales forecast, a loan decision, you have to trust it, but not blindly.
Exactly. The core ethical principle being challenged here is objectivity. That means fairness, avoiding all bias. But the problem is, AI models are only as objective as the data we train them on.
So if you train a model on historical lending data, and that data has decades of human bias baked into it,
the AI will just learn that bias.
and then it'll amplify it. It's basically automating discrimination.
That is the risk. The finance professional has to maintain their objectivity by questioning the technology's assumptions, questioning its inputs, not just blindly accepting the output. This is where things like model auditing become critical.
Tell me a bit more about that term, corporate digital responsibility. How is that different from just regular corporate responsibility?
It expands the mandate specifically to digital assets. It includes principles like digital stewardship, making sure data is managed responsibly and securely, but also digital equity.
Digital equity.
Yeah, ensuring that customers and stakeholders have fair access to the value of the data you hold about them. If your technology is unfairly denying services, you're facing huge ethical, legal, and reputational risks. And those translate directly into financial loss.
So the mandate is clear. The accountant's professional skepticism has to apply just as much to the machine as it does to a manager.
Fiercely. And that leads us straight into our final area, strategic risk. Specifically, cyber resilience. In a world where data is your most valuable asset, protecting it is fundamental to preserving value. This is a top-level board concern now.
Cybersecurity always felt like an IT problem, the people in the server room. But you're saying it's a financial governance issue. Why?
Just look at the fallout from a major data breach. You're talking about massive regulatory fines, crippling recovery costs, and a sudden, devastating loss of customer trust that tanks your stock price.
Right.
The corporate governance principles are clear. The board is responsible for audit, risk, and internal control.
And they have to be satisfied with the integrity of all financial and narrative statements.
Correct. And since the integrity of every single one of those statements, every forecast, every valuation depends entirely on the secure flow of digital information, cyber risk is now a primary financial governance issue. The CFO might not be configuring the firewall, but they have to ensure the controls are there to protect the digital assets that underpin everything.
So the future finance role isn't just managing cash anymore. It's about strategically managing data risk and understanding how your entire information system creates and preserves value. That fluency is now essential for value enabling. the game has truly changed.
It really has.
So to summarize our deep dive today, the digital world is pushing the finance function to evolve. We have to move from being reactive reporters to proactive strategic partners, from stewardship to value enabling.
And the technology is the enabler. Process automation handles the assembly, and AI supports the analysis, allowing the whole function to shift into that strategic diamond shape.
Which leads us to our final thought for you to take away.
The disappearance of all that transactional work means that if your career path is focused only on learning technical procedures, just applying techniques, the machines have already won that race. The real competitive edge now is in your critical thinking and your ethical evaluation.
The ability to look at an answer from the machine, question its data, and know when to ask, is this right? Is this ethically and financially sound?
Exactly. That speed of adaptation, that judgment, that is the ultimate test of professional competence and due care in this digital era.